Hello and welcome to the 21st episode of the We All Serve podcast. We're now into another decade of podcasts over here. You can see Buddy in the background. I don't always do this from the car, and I promise I'm not driving, Angel. I'm being safe. I'm parked over here. It's a long story, but Buddy and I are hanging out in the car for a couple of minutes and figured I'd show my little background over here. But this is the 21st episode of the We All Serve podcast. Should be a fun conversation. We've had some awesome discussions in the past few weeks. Bunch more awesome discussions scheduled in the coming weeks. And We All Serve is all about emphasizing that point that whether you put on the uniform or whatever uniform you put on, you are serving your community. You have the opportunity. And we know that, especially with this uptick in COVID cases, we need, there's Buddy. We all need people that are giving to community in a major way. And that's what this show is all about. So without further ado, I'm privileged to join my friend, my battle buddy, as we call it, Angel Torres here. And
the better looking bald guy.
There we go. I love it. Angel, good to be with you again. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Glad that this week is over. Man, so much stuff going on. And what a great guest we have on today. And just the mutual connections and the friends and the family, the connections between our guest and how well he's known throughout the city of Chicago. It's really exciting.
Absolutely, my friend. So this should be a fun discussion, and I'm excited to bring on Lee Farmer, and a big shout out to my friend Jordan Matches for connecting us. Apologies for the dog barking in the background. That's, I guess, the nature of being over here and the neighbors walking around. I'll put myself on mute. So without further ado, I am thrilled to bring in Lee Farmer. There he is on the screen. Angel, do you mind doing the
What's up, John?
pleasure of making the intro over here?
Yeah, sounds great. I'm excited. Lee Farmer is a DJ, record producer, marketing executive, and Lee came up in the 80s in the Chicago music scene working with the likes of Mike Hitman Wilson, Steve Silk Hurley, Julian Jumpin Perez. Everybody, if you grew up in the 80s in Chicago and you don't know who Julian Jumpin Perez, you've been in the burbs too long. He was fortunate enough to carry crates, and that means like back one day when we had LPs and you put the LPs in the crates, you carry crates, and it's such a great note because I'm like, yeah, I remember doing that. And he hung out with a lot of legendary DJ sets and recording before he graduated high school. After graduation, he joined the Navy, probably around the same time I did. What was that, about 90, 88, 90, something like that?
87 was when I joined.
Yeah, same here. And they served in Desert Shield, Desert Storm. After serving, he returned to Chicago and was instrumental in the formation of record labels that spawned several international dance hits. Over the year, he's been DJ of the Year for Chicago R&B Soul Awards, co-founder of the Soul Selector DJ, technical producer for VH1's Master of Mix television show, and music director for several national brand tours. He's a founder of two companies. One's called Maximum Audiovisual, and we'll find out more about that. And a production company. The other is Chicago Collective Group, an experimental marketing company. In 2017, he got back in the studio and released an album released a track called Stand Up and Dance that Lee produced, along with Grammy Award-winning trumpeter Maurice Brown. I heard that song today, and it's such a difference from the original version, Maurice Brown version, to when you can tell that you came and put your little taste on it. And he's collaborated with his brother, professionally known as Freak Feynman, on the 2018 called This Could Be the Night, featuring GTO, released on SNS Records. In a corona-like virus lockdown, which is where we're all at right now and have been for the majority of the year, Lee collaborated with Mariano's Grocery Store to create a chain, grocery chain, to create virtual opportunity for artists. Virtual Live at Mariano's was born. Lee and his team also created a virtual series called Studio Show Live for the Illinois Lottery and created popular DJ series Sundown Sounds. Lee is currently a producer of Silver Room Digital, which will air in October. Did it air? Did it air in October 2020?
Yeah, first 3 episodes have aired so far.
How'd that go?
Great. Yeah, we have the first episodes. We were actually going to do one per artist. We got so much great footage. We've been doing like multiple smaller episodes per artist, and it's just amazing episodes, amazing talent. Great response. It's been really cool. Really cool.
Lots of B-roll, lots of extra tracks. What's it like?
Yes. Well, so it's if you take a look at it, the first artist we had was Isaiah Sharkey, who is he was a child guitar prodigy, ended up winning a Grammy producing D'Angelo's album. He's worked with everybody from Snarky Puppy to I mean, he's John Mayer's guitar player. I mean, this
Was
guy,
he like a little Johnny Lang kind of prodigy kind of guy?
yeah, he's incredible, man. And luckily for me, he's a good friend. And so I've got a chance to work with him on a couple different things. And so we featured him on this the Silver Room Digital series, and it's just amazing to watch, man. He's such a talent. So if you get a chance to check it out, please do.
We will. Hey, you know what? One thing that I didn't touch on in the bio, and I'm kind of curious personally. We talked about when you went in the Navy. We didn't talk anything about what you did. If you're on a ship, if you're on a destroyer, if you're on I don't know what the heck you did. You just did a big blank.
There was a reason I let you do the intro over here, Angel. I knew that you'd geek out over here. It's fun.
Yeah, so I was on the ship in the Navy, the most decorated ship in the Navy, the USS New Jersey. So Iowa class battleship. And so that was once I went to boot camp. I went to A school and C school. Then I went out to the fleet. I was an FC, which is a fire control technician. And so I worked.
You're a gunner, huh?
Yeah. So I worked on the Mark 37 radar system and a 5-inch gun battery. So yeah, it was very interesting stuff.
Why did you guys even have 5-inch guns? You got the big cannons. What the hell you need a 5-inch gun for?
Well, we had the 16-inch guns for shore bombardment. We had Tomahawk missiles. I was
PLS.
And I was in charge of the Sea Whiz, all that. I was in charge of the 5-inch gun system, which basically, the 5-inch guns are the first line of protection for the ship. Any gunboats, any aircraft that are attacking the ship, we are the ones that would be responsible for taking care of that.
Shalom, the 5-inch gun, or I'm sorry, not the 5-inch, the 16-inch guns shoot the equivalent of a Volkswagen.
Yep.
About how many miles is it? Like some ridiculous number.
Over 100-mile range.
Shoot the Volkswagen 100 miles away.
So they didn't trust you with those, huh, Angel?
No.
Well, there were only 4 ships that had them.
They gave me chewing gum, told me to go paint the decks and sand.
Hey, you served Starbucks. You had an important job, my friend.
I did.
Yeah. No, there were only 4 ships that had 16-inch guns. In
Iowa, Missouri.
Yeah, Iowa, Missouri, Wisconsin, and New Jersey. Yep. And I was on the Jersey.
Well, Lee, it's fun to have you, and because you bring this sort of very well-rounded background, and we've had a lot of these discussions with folks that have put on the uniform, and the obvious question that I have, and I want to hear sort of that story of how you transition out and into the world that you're in. But let's start in the beginning, as I always do with on these pods. What made you decide to enlist in the Navy in the first place? Tell us a little bit about your childhood experience and how that led to joining the Navy. What possessed you to visit that damn recruiter's office?
That's a good question. I
What part of Chicago did you grow up in?
I grew up in Maywood. So I went to Proviso West High School.
Okay.
And I think my junior year I was competing in gymnastics. Junior year I was looking at colleges. I was looking at, what I'm going to do with my life. And I talked to some military recruiters. My family didn't have a great deal of money. And I just was like, you know what? I want to see the world. So I was like, yeah, let me get out of here. Let me go join the Navy. It was kind of a simple decision like that. And my dad was a World War II veteran. He served in the Army. He was over in the Italian theater. He was actually in the last cavalry regiment ever. So my dad fought in World War II. He had military service. he actually wasn't a fan of me going, but right when I joined, there were no wars. There hadn't really been any wars in a while, so he was like, whatever, you'll probably be okay. And then once I joined, obviously, Persian Gulf War started. All that happened. So, but yeah, that's kind of how it went down.
And when you think about your time in the Navy, which we'll dive a little bit deeper in, what reflections do you have? Tell us a little bit about your greatest mentor, the friends that you made, that you sort of can point to now a little while later.
You know what? I actually had I didn't really have a lot of good mentors in the Navy. To tell you the truth,
So Angel was on your ship.
Angel, were you on the Percy?
No, I'm just messing.
I was that guy.
Oh.
No, man, straight up. My first 4 years, if I based my career, I did 27 years, Lee. If I based it on my first 4 years, I would have got it. Wouldn't have happened, man. It was awful.
Yeah. You know what? My experience was actually great. I mean, when I look back at it, just to be honest, when I joined, when I got to the ship, I just, I had a couple of people that were, in charge that were, not too partial to people of my color. And, and so, the Navy is a microcosm of the world. And, I dealt with some discrimination issues and some other stuff, but, you really can't do too much about it. You know what I mean? So I did what I needed to do. I tried to excel at all of my work, and I did a lot of studying and tried to be the best at my job, so I could kind of be beyond reproach. And so I wasn't really able to find those mentors, but I mentored myself. But on the other hand, I did like create some lifelong friendships. I have a group right now, like a text group, like every day that I talk to my Navy buddies. Like literally every day we're on that group, still talking, 20 something years later. So we traveled the world together. In the military, we kept up with each other. We've been out to visit each other in various cities. We've done projects together. So it's still a really tight crew of guys that that I'm still connected with. So I think, and we all have some very, very fond memories that we always discuss together. So it's always a it's definitely a very very poignant time in my life, and it's something that has made a really huge difference, and still today my service.
How so?
I mean, it's just the discipline that I learned, just being able to work with people who are just from different worlds, being able to deal with people who are your superiors that don't necessarily like you. No, seriously.
No, I know you're right. That's why I'm laughing. I'm like, that's about right.
And I learned a lot of very valuable life skills that I've been able to take into my business. I've dealt with clients that I could tell right away when I walked in the room, they were like, what the hell is this guy doing here? You know what I mean? And I was able to recognize that and at least understand what I was dealing with and work through it. So that was a very valuable skill that I learned, because I really never really had to deal with that until I joined the military. I mean, growing up in Maywood, I'm right next to Westchester Melrose Park, so I dealt with the racism that you would deal with in everyday life. But when you get into a professional environment, things are quite a bit different. So the dynamic changes. So you have to really kind of learn to deal with those things, and it teaches you to be even more disciplined, and it teaches you how to what we say in the Black community is how to code switch. right? So
What does that mean? Tell me what that means.
So code switching is basically, so there's one persona that you have for the professional environment, and there's a whole other persona that you have with your friends and family, right?
Wow.
So
I'm gonna have to check that out one of these days, because I'm me all the time. Good, bad, and ugly.
yeah, exactly. Well, and at this point, so am I. But I ended up working after I got out of the military in a couple different corporate environments. And that skill was very valuable in those environments. So yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. So let's transition over to the after you decide to get out and move on. You're very well established. Angel gave a little bit of your bio, which is very, very impressive. So you decide to get out of the Navy after a couple of years. First of all, why did you choose to not make a career out of it? I mean, it makes sense, but I'm going to ask the question regardless. And then what led you into the path that you've chosen to pursue?
Okay, so obviously before I went into the Navy, I was a DJ. While I was in the Navy, the USS New Jersey had a radio station. And so I ended up getting involved in the radio station, and I created a house music channel on the radio station on the ship. And so that was a whole lot of fun.
Lee, we're gonna get together and we're gonna have your radio station and my coffee shop on the carriers. It's gonna be all that.
There we go.
I was thinking that. I mean,
well, I know you were. I was like, oh, this is so great. Because we used to do, we were underway for like 100-something days, and we did an open mic night at the coffee shop that I built.
Oh,
Shalom
nice.
wasn't joking about that, so people could play music, so people could just unplug and get like some sense of normalcy. But yeah, man, that radio station, I bet that was awesome. Especially from the guys from New York and all the city guys. The guys in the urban rural area, maybe not so much.
Yeah, so it was a great time. It was a great time. So, and I also DJ'd sometimes at the Bass Club in Long Beach as well. So because that's where we were stationed, in Long Beach. So yeah, that was great. So there were a lot of opportunities for me in the Navy, but I just kind of felt that there were more for me in the civilian world. And you probably know about this, Angel. I signed up for a program called Boost, and
Broaden Officer Opportunity Selection Training. It's where they take minorities and they put them through a 1 year that normally wouldn't have had opportunity to. Yeah, I was a PN, man. They wouldn't have had a career counselor and all that stuff. They put them through a 1 year program. It's targeted for minorities, and then they put them in like a service academy, like Naval Academy or something like that.
Exactly.
And yeah.
Yeah. So got accepted in the Boost. And this was at the last, pretty close to me getting out. And so I had a choice. They were going to send me to Boost for 9 months. And then depending on how you did in Boost, you either go to the Naval Academy or you go to another college into the military program. Then you become obviously a midshipman, and then you're back in the fleet over the summer. The commitment in years for me was just too long.
Yeah, it is. It's because it's 4 years, 5 years of college and everything, and then you got to give them back another 4, so that takes you to 9. You've already got 4, so that's 14.
Well, no, it was 5 years of college, and then they wanted me to give them back another 8 after that. Yeah, and if it was 5 years of college and then 4 years, I may have done it, but it was 5 and then 8, and so I did the math, and I was like, and I just calculated the amount of money that I was going to make, and I figured, I was like, I'll do much better, I think, if I go into the civilian world with the skills that I have now. And so that was really why I made the decision. They also offered me $30K to re-enlist for another 4 years. If I, when I turned down Boost, they were like, all right, well, if you just want to enlist for 4 years, we'll give you 30 grand cash. And I was like, yeah, not enough.
'Cause
So
you had that radar code. You had that radar school.
yeah. I had radar school,
Yeah.
electronics, and what is it? BEE, basic electronics, electricity school, radar school. So I figured I would just do better in the civilian world. So I made a decision to get out, and so got out, and as funny, life pushes you into certain positions and areas, and so I get out of the Navy, and I have these skills, and so I start applying for jobs, and I have all these great interviews, and every job I think I'm going to get, they call me back and they're like, sorry, we're going to have to I actually even got some like hired on the spot interviews, and after every one it was like, sorry, we're going to have to decline our offer, or sorry, yeah, we chose someone else for the opportunity. So I'm looking for jobs. I got no job. So I moved in with my parents, and
Are they still in Maywood? They're still in Maywood at the time?
Yeah, still in Maywood at the time. And so
that's frustrating as hell. I know that is.
Oh yeah. But so I'm setting up a studio there. I'm DJing. I'm working on music in the meantime. So then one of my buddies that I was actually doing some production with, my friend Keith Fiala, he was a manager at this gas station. So he was like, hey bro, I'll just get you a job at the gas station in the meantime. You know what I mean? Come work over here. So I go to work at the gas station, and then the guys owned a towing company. So I started driving tow trucks, right? So in the meantime, I'm working on music, and one of my well, that's a little later. So then
this is like 92, 93 time frame.
Yeah, this is 92, 92-ish. Yeah. So then I'm still looking for a job. So I go to Proviso West High School and I apply for this assistant teacher's job. Right. And so they're like, oh man, we would love to have you here. We loved you when you were a student. So they were like, yeah, cool, you're hired. So then I get a call about a week later, and they're like, you know what? We're gonna have to retract our offer of employment. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? So the person who was in charge of hiring was there when I was a student. They were like, look, we're gonna give you a heads up. The background checks keep coming back that you have a felony. And I was like, a felony? What are you talking about?
Dude, you had a secret clearance. You can't have a damn felony with a secret clearance.
And I had to have a secret clearance.
Right, for your radar and guns and stuff. Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, what is going on? So, they give me the company, the background check company. So I call the background check company, and they're being, they won't tell me anything. So I hire a lawyer, get the lawyer to, call. And so they give some information to my lawyer because we threatened to sue. Turns out that there was a shoplifting conviction on there, right? And the time of the conviction, I was actually in the Philippines when all of this happened. And so there was a guy who I went to school with, I was on a gymnastics team with. I guess he had stolen my driver's license. And this is when I was still in high school. I didn't know anything about it because I thought I lost my driver's license, got another one. He had stolen it. And so he was shoplifting in Oak Brook and gave them my ID. Right. So they arrest him. The police, they log in all my information. Then they find out that it's not me, but they never changed the information. And so somehow this background check company and all the background check companies had me on as this felon. And so I wasn't able to get a job anywhere, right? So that pushed me more and more in the direction of music. And you know, and so I worked at this gas station part-time, and you know, was doing a bunch of stuff musically. And so then I reconnected with one of my really good high school buddies, Bill Rinkosic, who you guys probably know as Bad Boy Bill. And so Bill was he was doing all these mixtapes, and he was doing very well with it. So I got involved in helping him.
Mixtapes. Before there were mashups, there were mixtapes.
Exactly. So I got involved in helping Bill distribute his mixtapes. He had like a bunch of stores. So we started putting together a system of, you know, like distribution for all the stores in Chicago. Started calling like distributors in other cities and pushing the mixtapes there.
Like the record stores?
Yeah, well, there were a bunch of distributors in different cities, and it was funny because we were dealing with distributors, and these weren't like legal mixtapes. You know, these were we were just putting them out there. Bill was making them, we were pushing them out. So I remember they busted some big mixtape guy in New York, and it was this big thing. So because we really didn't even realize this was not legal. You know what I mean? We were just like, hey, it's music, we're DJs, we're putting this out. So we decided
licenses, what?
Yeah. So Bill was like, man, I got to figure out how to do this legally. So he formed this company called Mix Connection Multimedia. I became the director of operations for the company. I went on this deep dive on figuring out how to license music from the record labels. We figured it out. One of my really, really good buddies, who actually was in the Navy as well, Mike Burns, who is now the dean of students at DePaul Law, I believe. He was at Chicago Ken. I think he's at DePaul now. But he is an incredible attorney. But I taught him how to swim because he didn't know how to swim when he was joining the Navy. So I went to the pool with him every day and taught him how to swim so he could, so he could join the Navy. Then he becomes this big shot attorney. So I'm like, Mike,
is he a black dude too?
Yeah, black guy.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'm laughing at the irony. and after we go off the air, I have a great story to tell you.
Okay. So, and then Mike actually was an incredible bass player as well, right? His help to figure out. So there was an issue with licensing because the way they would do compilations, you would have to pay like what they call a full statutory rate. It was a lot of money. And with mixtapes, we weren't playing the full songs. We were playing, like, a minute, and we're into the next song, especially the way Bill was doing it back then. He was playing, maybe 30 songs on a mix CD. So we couldn't afford to pay that. So between Mike and myself, we came up with this algorithm to prorate the songs, and we were able to push that to the record labels and get them to agree to it. So
based on how much that song you used.
So
based on how much it costs $5 to use it once, and you say, well, I'm only using 30 seconds of it, so I'm going to pay you for this amount of the song.
Exactly. And no one had ever done that before in the music business. And so pretty much I was the first one to do that. And so we implemented that with Bill's label. And we put out the first legal mixtapes that anyone ever did. So the first legal mixtape ever was Bang in the Box Volume 1, Bad Boy Bill. And so we started a whole trend on that.
Does that apply to sampling? Does that algorithm and those laws apply to sampling? Like when artists sample other artists' songs, do they prorate it based on the amount of time that they use of that song too? I wonder.
You know what? They actually, I believe they do now. I haven't sampled anything pretty much ever in any of the music that I've done. I've stayed away from it because of that. But they have been using some kind of prorated scenario, I believe, for samples now. But I don't think they did that before we did it with the mixtapes.
It sounds like the Navy gave you like a lot of the resiliency to, you hit a wall. You're like, okay, this is the wall I hit, but I'm gonna do something until I get to do what I want to do, and then another opportunity. Even though it's not like shiny and pretty and in the perfect way, you're like, no, we're going to work through this because this is a good opportunity to do what we love doing. And you kind of just drove that way, and you brought people along. And it seems like it sounds like you brought people along with you that were kind of focused, and you had this whole team and collaboration moving in that direction. That's similar to what we do in the military as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, one of the, obviously, I had a great team in the military. All the guys that worked with me, we we were in the most forward radar director, and so I had a whole team of guys that worked those guns, that radar director, and we were like a well-oiled machine, and just having that team and I was FC3 on the ship, and at one point we didn't have a second class or a first class for some months. So I was running my team for probably a good 4 or 5 months, 6 months. And I learned a lot of very valuable management skills, as well as just being able to work with different people and different personalities, and being able to recognize skill sets in people, and being able to recognize strengths and weaknesses, and help people utilize their strengths. So,
at the ripe age of 19 or 20.
Yeah, really.
Think about it, right?
I was like, 19, 20 years old during that time.
So when you came back to Chicago, you weren't like the regular 19 and 20-year-olds you left.
Yeah, it was quite a bit different. Different level of maturity, I would say. But I mean, the other thing too is the partying that people do in civilian life is nothing compared to what we did in the military, right? So, you were
a CG division?
What's it? No, we were a battleship.
Oh, you guys didn't have combat guns. Okay, got it.
Yeah,
it was something different. Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm. So we I mean, we partied, it was ridiculous.
Next level.
Yeah,
next level global.
Yeah, on a global scale, all over the world. So when you've done that and you kind of got that out of your system, you know what I mean? And and the thing is too, we're partying, but then we have to be 100% on point the next day, because you're in the military. It's very easy to get killed. You know what I mean? There's mooring lines that can snap you in half if you're not.
Well, New Jersey had that accident, that mishap where someone died, or a couple of people died in the with the guns, with 16-inch guns. Like, I think in the 80s.
No, that was the Iowa.
Oh, that was Iowa. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm mistaken. Iowa. You're right. No, it was Iowa. You're 100% right.
And then the Missouri got hit by something happened with the Missouri. And it was crazy. If I would have taken that enlistment, I would have been on the Missouri. They were going to transfer me to the Missouri. Because
Missouri's in Hawaii now. That's great.
It's what?
It's in Hawaii now. It's a museum in Hawaii.
Yeah. The Jersey's in Camden. I actually went to the Jersey, and they let me go down to my old bunk and the whole 9 yards. It's a museum in Camden. If you get a chance, you should go visit. It's incredible. So, yeah.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
I get to know those wooden shit because Shalom, on all the battleships, a lot of people don't know this. The main decks, which means the main level where the floors are, the floor is made out of teak wood, and it requires maintenance, which is like sanding and all that kind of stuff. And the reason why it has that, and please, Lee, you know better than I do, is because the torque when they shoot that gun, that big, shoots a Volkswagen
guns, yeah.
Right. It puts so much torque on the ship that if you had a metal ship, if the decks were metal, it would twist the ship.
Yeah, it would.
It would torque it, and then you'd never get it back the same. So the wood actually kind of bends a little bit and reshapes and comes back to normal.
Yeah. And now that these battleships don't exist anymore, but being on a battleship and doing what we call a broadside, where you're shooting,
we go like this.
Yeah, where you're shooting all the 16-inch guns in one direction at once. I mean, it literally moves the ship, and it's probably the most awesome display of raw power that you will ever witness in life as a human being. It makes you feel very, very small.
I call it the filling shaker. Yeah. If you got fillings, they're gonna shake.
Yeah. It's it's something to experience. So
That's wild, man. It sounds like, in a nutshell, it sounds like your your Navy career certainly brought you, as you said, I think at the beginning of the conversation, some of that called maturity,
mhm.
some of those skills that that you continue to apply. And I think I mentioned this when we chatted a couple of weeks ago, is that e- almost everybody that I know that has put the uniform on, they're proud of their time
Oh yeah.
in some way. But then there's some folks that retire, whether they retired after 4 years or after 24 years, and
Mhm,
it's part of their past, it's part of their history, it's part of what
mhm.
they have been, but it's not necessarily a part of who they are now. I know that you are you keep it with you. You keep it with you. I know
Oh,
it's
definitely.
definitely a part of your bio, and
Mhm.
you might not have all of the cool props that Angel has in the background over there.
I
Um,
know, right?
yeah, he'll hook you up.
Yeah,
You'll
but
come
I'll
up.
trade all that stuff for some of his hair
Man,
and a couple of his LPs. I'll be good at some vinyl. We'll hook it up.
hey, listen,
Yeah, a lot of that.
this is a fun conversation. It's fun to watch you guys talk Navy a little bit. But Lee, it's awesome. And if folks want to learn more about you, get in touch with you. I know you've got a lot of cool stuff going on, even in this world of COVID. Uh, believe you've got a website. There we go, djleefarmer.com.
Mhm. Yeah, and then I'm on Instagram, on Twitter, and it's all like DJ Lee Farmer, Facebook, all
You're
that.
easy to find. And
Mhm.
so Lee, one last question from me, and then I'll let Angel close it out. Is if you were talking to an 18-year-old Lee, what advice would you have for him?
You know what? If you're gonna join the military, join the Navy.
Oh boy,
It's
I
the
knew
best
I
service,
knew
best
I'd be
branch of service.
totally. I knew I'd be overwhelmed over here. Most of our
He had
guests.
me in
Look,
Philippines. Did you hear where he said doing shoplifting while he was in the Philippines? I'm like, done. Who got to go
right.
there?
Exactly. Go on a Westpac, you'll love it.
Man, oh man, good conversation, Angel. Any final questions? But close us out.
I do not. And Lee, it was just such a pleasure talking to you today and to hear about your journey. Most of us have gone through the exact same kind of growing pains, transition pains, whatever you want to talk about.
Mhm.
And I just want to thank you for everything you do, everything you've done, your service,
Thank you
and
guys as
how
well.
you continue to support the community with Mariano's and the outreach. And you really serve as an inspiration for not just for Black men or men of color, but just for everyone who's ever worn the nation's cloth. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys, and happy belated Veterans Day.
Likewise,
And thank you
likewise.
both for your service.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Lee, thank you again. And shout out again. Visit Lee on any social media platforms. And if you are watching this conversation, like many people did today, be sure you click subscribe on whatever platform you're on. But also go on Spotify, Apple, Google, any podcast platform, and click subscribe and rate and review so more people can find the conversation. This upcoming Monday, we're going to be chatting with David Muir, who is the director, senior vice president at Easter Seals. I learned a lot about his incredible work of Veterans Employment Network, Army veterans. So, Angel, you'll be overwhelmed next time. Sorry. And it's always fun. Another conversation on We All Serve. But again, shout out to everybody that has put the uniform on. A belated Happy Veterans Day, as Lee said a moment ago. And thank you all for tuning in. And Lee, again, thank you. And Angel, I will see you in the coming days.